cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 Just black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh. 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 Just black and white. Black and white.
Hello everybody, welcome to Simracersworld TV for rounds 11 and 12 of the SRW BMW Trophy, sponsored by Abruzzi Racewear. My name is Hasse Rømer and I am here with Markus Gjesdal, the dynamic duo of Scandinavia indeed. Back to take you through something very new indeed, the Hockenheimring. Markus, expectations are indeed high for this one, I think. It's a track that really allows itself for great racing, And I think we're going to see that here at Just Tonight.
Yeah, first time this time for this track to be on iRacing, and also the first race in this series. Also the first season of this track to be introduced in iRacing. The 16 corners of Hockenheim, which has been remodeled over the years, opened in 1932 and has been used as a proving grounds ever since in both Formula 1 and DTM championships. Now we have cars that are quite close to DTM cars in some kinds. They will be racing these cars in DTM now in the coming years. And really looking forward how this first opening lap is going to look now from T2 to turn 16, or turn 6, I mean.
Yeah, very much so indeed. An interesting addition here. A track that I am familiar with. I've done some racing here in Project Cars 2. And all that said, I haven't yet turned a lap here. As some time ago, I think that's about a month now, that I've been without a rig. And as such, I haven't been able to drive. I'm feeling the urge to get back behind the wheel of a sim racing machine. But it's gonna have to wait for now. Michael Patterson, though, here just under 10 minutes to go here in qualifying. Currently on pole position, ahead of teammate Oscar Wilkins. SimRacingLoft.com, Volante Racing, really putting on a show tonight. Road 2 lockout for the time being for Chris Warner and Sam Baxter. Fury Sim Sports in there as well. Greg Franks rounding off the top 5, of course, in gold as well. And Markus, the standings, I feel like we haven't really touched upon them yet, but a lot has happened since last time out, or at least since last time we did the standings, because that was before the 2 races at Sebring. And an interesting fact here, Michael Patterson has won 3 out of the 4 last races, or rounds, and races that is as well, or races at the rounds, if you will. It's of course a little bit confusing that we've got 2 rounds for every race that we do, but it is of course is that we have the sprint and feature race. Anyways, enough about that, and straight on to the points and the standings. Michael Patterson now leads with 568 points, 3 points ahead of Chris Warner. So everything still to play for here in the deciding 3 rounds of this series. We've got Greg Franks on 524, very much still in with a shout in the picture at the moment for H Motorsport. And we got Sam Baxter 4th, 519 points, and still in the 500, Seb Herbera 5th overall. He is at the moment with 506 points. Then it's a sizable gap down to Andrew Lovesey, got 450, and Edward May, who was very much up there early days in the season, he's fallen ever so slightly behind. He's on 437 points. Oscar Wilkins 8th, Paul Gosling 9th, and Bud Boland 10th at the moment. And but all focus, all attention, I think, has to go to the top of the standings indeed. And with it being very, very close. And we've seen Michael Patterson on rising form, which I think he could really use to his advantage here, Mark.
Yeah, things have changed a lot since the opening races, and as you said, leaving Florida, or the better half of Florida, we should say, we have had some materializing in the top, but really exciting to see how Greg is able to pull in his horses now, maybe be up in contention for the first spot here, but it just really comes up to how everything is going to go today. Needs to stay out of trouble, and Hockenheim could be a track where we could see a lot of it.
It very much depends on what kind of approach we see the field take. We've got 19 drivers up for tonight, at least so far. We could see late join us, if I'm not mistaken, but we'll have to see if anybody shows up last minute. We have, of course, had the 12 hours of Sebring last weekend, which I think will have taken up a lot of practice time and focus in general for much of the field here. And we'll see just about who's put in the practice to be up there. I think on a new track like this, you know, that practice time is absolutely crucial, and I think we'll see it paying dividends tonight. If I But that'll be my shout at least. Chris Warner leading Sam Baxter around here. The question being how much of an advantage that is. Fury Sim Sports 3rd and 4th still in Bud Boland, having put it on a provisional 5th place as we're into the final 5 minutes of qualifying here at the Hockenheimring. Blessings to iRacing for providing us with a very nice default camera pack for Hockenheim. It certainly provides us with some pretty angles indeed. In silver, by the way, Andrew Lovesey's on provisional pole, or overall 8th at the moment, with Nelson Inacio 2nd, or 9th, and Nils Manschanten rounding off the silver top 3 in qualifying. First in bronze is James R. Hall, he's 12th overall, and Luke Schneider 2nd, Hassan Adefak in 3rd in class. That is, of course, 15th place overall. A nice spread between the classes, looking like it's a fair split of the drivers.
Yeah, taking a small look at the standings as well, or I mean the the season calendar. We're getting close to the end of the season now, Hasse. We've been well past the halfway of the season, and also one of the contributing factors could probably be that there's no official series that are running Hockenheim with the GT3 cars this week. So we'll have that changed in about 2 weeks' time when we go back to Long Beach, which is going to be also the first street course in this series. And that is going to be something that I think is if you have to have good points, Long Beach is a place where you can really capitalize on people's mistakes, and it'll be a really important round in the championship. And Hockenheim as well is probably going to be acting like a drop week with all these people not even attending here now with 19 drivers so far.
A good point indeed with the setups here at Hockenheim, because the drivers won't be able to get their setups from the setup shops, which is of course a very good point when a series organizer chooses to follow the schedule of a given official series. And with that said, we could see some big differences in setup basically tonight. Although we are not really seeing any big differences in time at the moment here. Michael Pedersen, provisional pole time 1:37.27. Oscar Wilkins just 0.07 of a second off. And then, I'm sorry, that's 0.02 of a second off. Then Chris Warner still within 1/10 of a second, 1:37.38. Sam Baxter a 10th down, more or less, with a 1:37.5. And only it's 2/10, a 10th, another 10th. It's very, very close indeed here in qualifying. And if that's the sort of closeness we'll see on pace here, and the race is going to be hot indeed, given the amount of overtaking opportunities we have here.
Hot indeed is a very good point indeed, even with the asphalt as well being quite significant in temperature as well. And we've seen that in these races before, that people have been struggling with tire temperatures throughout the race. And even with 27 centigrade temperature, it's going to be really hard for these guys to manage the tires here, try to fight with them as well. So if you really want to have a good shot at getting a good qualifying in and a good race in, qualify at pole and just try and win your class, because if you start fighting with people, that's going to be a huge problem for you throughout the rest of the race.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. And just going to take a quick moment to go through the format. For any newcomers watching the stream, by the way, welcome to everyone watching along. But we do have 2 races coming up for tonight. We've got a 30-minute sprint race, no fast repairs and no fuel cap as well, meaning that the drivers will be able to complete the sprint race without any pit stops. Then we do have a 45-minute feature race with a grid decided on a reverse order on the top 10. And a single fast repair, a 50% fuel tank cap, which means that the drivers will have to pit just around the 30-minute mark indeed. So see if there are still a few drivers out there, as we see here. Paul Gosling just completing his lap. And my dog, my sweet dog Stella, decides to get involved in the action. Probably some people in the on the stairs. You know, that never happens. It doesn't happen every day at all. So
I think your dog probably saw the comment here from Edward May, one of our season favorites, has been asked to commentate another series on Wednesdays. So he hasn't found the time to be around in the Beamers anymore, sadly. So it looks like he's out of contention for the rest of the series here, Hasse.
That is a bit of a blow. I think. I feel like Edward has been a contributing factor indeed to this series, and been livening up the races east, west, north, and south. But it's a shame that he'll not be around. Well, sorry to hear that, Edward, indeed. Bradley Brocky's 17th on the grid at the moment. Do you reckon it's going to be a flyer, this one? I don't think he's made it. I think it's going to be more of an in-lap, and Bradley taking every possible second of practice, and rightfully so, into a race like this. Peels off into the pits, and shortly we shall indeed have the grid order on display on screen for you to see indeed. And I think we're gonna be in for 2 rounds of very good action here tonight, as Bradley Brocky's slowly pulls into the pits, as he stops and gets out, and as the other drivers will probably hop out as well. When we'll see just what's going to be on display. But it is Michael Pedersen on pole position, I can tell you that much, ahead of Oscar Wilkins, but I'll not get ahead of myself. And there it is, the grid order on display. Michael Pedersen, Oscar Wilkins, a simracingloft.com Volante Racing lockout of the front row. Chris Warner and Sam Baxter of Fury Sim Sports join them on row 2 ahead of Bart Boland for Sim Racers World Esports. And Greg Franks for H Motorsports in the 99 machine. Seb Hebera and Andrew Lovesey 7th and 8th. And then Nelson Inacio 9th with Nils Manchanten in 10th place. 11th is Jeremy the Boover ahead of James R. Hall. And then we got Paul Gosling, Luke Schneider, Hassan Arafak, and Philip Hubley, 16th ahead of Bradley Brocky's, Mark Lewis. And rounding off the field is Sandro Ballesteros in the 19 machine, 19th place as well for him. And with that said, I think we are indeed getting closer and closer to the green flag here.
Yep. See the cars here lined up on the end of the drag strip here at Hockenheim, which is significantly grippier than in real life. At least in the wets. If you get on that in the wet conditions there, you'll run out of road pretty quickly. We've seen that a lot of times in the past, and hopefully that won't be a problem today. With drivers being able to extend a little bit more there in the last turn. Also, there's a lot of curb you can take on the inside here on the last turn. So I think this track is probably one of the best ones that iRacing made now in the recent stages, where they haven't really taken too much liberty away from us in terms of track extending and track cutting. You can go pretty liberate on curves if you want to, and go pretty far off the track here before you get off track. And I think that's going to really give us a more racing here for at least the first sector and maybe the last one as well. Oh, someone in the reverse there a little bit, putting the car in the wrong gear. I don't know who that was.
Oh, they're bunching up down there. They have to be careful here as we'll join the front runners.
I think that was Bob Boland right there who put his car in race gear instead of the first gear, which is a lot more significant or a lot better for this track. Or any track, honestly. But championship leader on pole right now, Hasse. Your Danish friend here in the number 7. Front row lockout with Oscar Wilkins as they round the last turn, now getting ready for the start here of the first race this week. And it's Wednesday. We see the cars line up in 2 slots of 2, and they're ready now. They're going already. Michael Pedersen leading the field here. Oscar Wilkins on the outside here. And in the back, we have 2 Fury Sports cars that are pretty decently close to each other. No contact there, however. Our reverse grid holder, as he had his car in reverse, Bob Boland here challenging for 4th. Gregory Franks P3 in the championship, and there's a touch there, and there's a pile up in turn 2.
And it's a big one indeed here. Oh my word, a huge pile up in turn 2 with several cars involved. Sepp Herber, one of them. And still going on, I'm afraid. Several cars also having to go back to the pit lanes. And while there still is close action out there, we're just gonna have to take another look at that one. First off here, Nils Manschanten goes, oh, he's on the, oh, he gets hit there. So that's super unlucky, it has to be said. But I'll just see if we can catch on to what actually happens up ahead. There's just, oh. So, yeah, that confused me a little bit. I think Nelson Ignacio, and that's the 88 car. And that's Andrew Lovesey, I'm afraid. So let's see here. Just gonna pull it back up here, Andrew Lovesey. And check what happens to him. And it just touches. It's the slighted of touches. It turns 2 cars around on the racing line. Nowhere to go for so many of them. A few of them actually managed to get through. But most of them don't really behind that. And just another, just see the touch. And in a situation like this, Marcus, you're basically a passenger for, at least for many of the drivers here, and there isn't really, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, and Bart Boland, I'm afraid, is having trouble here. So just as we come back from checking out what happened at the very start of the race, Bart Boland is having an absolute nightmare. He gets in the way of Greg Franks as well there.
Yeah, he was hit by Greg Franks there, as he said. That's not good for Greg at all. If he wants to have any chance here to try and maintain some grip in the championship.
Oh, what has happened to the car of Bart Boland? It goes straight off track.
He's broken a toe link or something, I think, because that car didn't want to go where he wanted to steer it.
It didn't go anywhere, indeed.
This is probably the worst start we've had to sprint race all this season so far, and all with 19 drivers. We're down to 16 now in the opening 2 laps of this race. I hope we get at least 19 drivers for the second race here.
We'll see. We'll just about see. Michael Pedersen, though, still leads his teammate Oscar Wilkins, and it's as they were for the start of the race here with the top 4. Then James Hall, a bronze driver, have been taking 7 positions now for E-Team Brit here. He's up into 5th place, and that is a huge result. If he can keep up this performance, James Hall here is looking at a really, really good race and a really good pickup of points as well.
Yeah, Sandro Ballesteros as well, starting all the way in the back here, up 11 spots, up to 8th right now. So some drivers here taking huge advantage of this this messy start here in the start. Here we see him as well with the 42 on the outside. Paul Gosling trying to challenge him from spots.
Gosling still side by side, leaving plenty of space there. Gentlemanly driving from Ballesteros, tries to get the cutback. I think he goes in maybe a little too early, doesn't manage to get the nose in. Oh, on the car behind, that's Mark Lewis. Oh, goes a little bit wide. He's had a bit of contact with something, and that's Philip Hopley, who's had contact with him as well. It might have been the other way around, I suppose, but it's not the only part of that car ahead that's had something taken off of it, I'm afraid.
If this was a NASCAR race, you'd probably hear a "put it out" from a race control leader somewhere. That was a huge and messy start, unlike anything we've really seen in this series, but it has to happen here as well. Even the pros do some mistakes every now and then.
Very much so. Here comes Greg Franks to take James Hall. Oh, he gets a little bit of wheel spin there on the corner exit. And he was looking good to pull off the cutback there. Making the corner early, straight lining the car. But he's still close to Franks. But Franks defending the inside line well, though, here. And into this final sector, it's going to be a little harder, I think, to find a way through. There is another lap. But if you can stay close, Marcus, you'll have another shot soon here.
This is a funny stat now, and probably the first time we've seen it in this series, but there's more bronze drivers in the top 10 than silver drivers at the moment.
Incredibly so here. Mark Lewis has had a bit of a problem as well. Just a slight touch between himself, and I think that was Philip Hopley. And, well, he gets stopped in his tracks indeed. Luke Schneider has had a problem as well. And does he lose it all by himself? He just has 2 tires on the dirt. And that's no way to enter a hairpin.
But speaking of class results here, Hasse, Paul Gosling now is the only car right now in the top 10 in the silver class. He's the first in class as well. And he's also leading the silver class in the championship. So this is looking really good for him now, the opening laps here, because the next competitor for him is Jeremy the Boover, which is back in P11. So this could be settled by Paul Gosling now, at least getting a good margin now for Long Beach.
Very much so. Very much so. Here's we're on board with Chris Warner. As you can see, he turned red there for a second. That's an indication he went off track, which means that he probably picked up an incident point there. I don't think he's going to be too concerned. Now a tight left-hander here. Acceleration important, but you want to keep the car left, as beautifully demonstrated by Chris Warner, to make the apex, enter that corner, and to gain as much speed down here, where we really join the old Hockenheim for the stadium section, which hasn't changed too much, to be frank. It's still very reminiscent of what we had here in the 1990s and before, of course, at the old Hockenheim, which was a very special place indeed. And a little bit of a slide there, maybe picking up too much curb.
But look at how much Oscar can extend that exit, though. He's all the way up on the AstroTurf. He's barely touching the grass there on the exit. Come on.
That's Ignacio, and he's lost it, I'm afraid. Arifak has had a problem as well, and we're going to have a look at what happened to him. Nelson Ignacio just enters much too quickly, gets on the sand, the very slippery iRacing sand, and falls on all the way through onto the wall. Oh, and my afraid my SDK has just crashed, and I will be without any real control of what is happening for a short moment while I relaunch my timing software here and make sure the correct project file is loaded and all that, and we'll see if it acts up or if it does anything weird. Of course, it's gonna look a little weird on the timing tower, but it's gonna sort itself out once they come across the line the next time around. And then I hope you're still in sync with me as well, Markus.
Yeah, I'm looking at Michael Pedersen at the moment. P7 here, as I was looking quickly at Nils Manschaden for a small second as he was fighting for a position as well. Small technical difficulties. It isn't a real broadcast unless we have a little bit of a hiccup when it comes to the techniques.
I've had a little bit of a reoccurring issue with internet connection while streaming lately, and I have to say I've been at a loss to as just what has been the cause, because I've been able to pull 200 plus megs a second up and down on speed tests, so it doesn't seem like it's a general connection problem, but more so maybe a connection issue with the servers.
Yeah, a small timing glitch now with the timing tower, but I'm sorry for interrupting here, but just trying to give a short update here for our English is hard today for some reason. For our viewers, Michael Pedersen still leading in the front, Oscar Wilkins still in P2, Chris Warren still P3, and Sam Baxter rounding up the top 4. And here we go. The majority of position changes has been happening down from 5th and downwards. Greg Frag still P5 from P6. James R. Hall, our biggest climber from bronze, in P6. Paul Gosling in P7, Hassan Arfag in P8, and still Sandra Ballesteros in P9. And now, for the first time in this race, we have a second silver driver in the top 10 with Jeremy the Boob.
Yeah, very much so. And apologies for the timing tower acting up, but it seems it should be fixed. And it seems the connection, fingers crossed, at least for now, is holding up and being good. So with that said, that is nice indeed. That is what we want. It's now beginning to spread out between the top 3, and I'll tell you what, Sam Baxter still hanging on, but he's got a 7.5, well, almost 7.5 second gap down to Greg Franks, of course, has been involved in a little bit of kerfuffling there in about a recap of the chaotic start. Well, I'm afraid that because my SDK crashed, I cannot take you back and actually show you the pictures, just as I was trying to do so. It wouldn't really let me, so my apologies on that one. But we had a big kerfuffle up in turn 2, which took place in, well, around the midfield scrap, and well, it's really thrown the standings around from around 7th, 8th, 9th and downwards, and it's paid its toll indeed on a few drivers and their hopes in this race here. As we see De Boever on the outside of Sandro Ballesteros, and he's insisting there, and he's actually going to make the move stick here. I think that's brilliant driving from De Boever.
Yep, hanging on the outside here now, Jeremy. And I'm sorry, on the inside here, but he's not going to... Oh, it's going to be a little bit touching here, maybe. Going into the hairpin. He has the outside here, but if he can get a good run, maybe he'll stick this. No, little small touch there, and a little small touch in the back there as well. And then contact again on the grass there for Jeremy. And there's certainly 4 cars in this fight now, taking full advantage of the slow speed of these 2 cars, having a little problem in the hairpin.
Yeah, very much so. There's a little bit of late braking from one of the Ignium cars.
Yeah,
it's the late.
Hopefully.
A lot of air coming into that.
Lovesey,
I think
sorry.
It's is it Lovesey? I think it's Andrew Lovesey indeed, having gone up into 10th place. Let's just get another view of what happened between these two. So exiting the corner, it's a little bit of a netcode that kind of draws them together. And one car really just trying to get back on track, but there's a car where he's trying to go. And I have to say, amazed almost at the fact that it didn't come to more, because that could have been much, much worse.
I don't think that was netcode. I just think that was Sandro Ballesteros trying to open his corner up pretty early, and it didn't really anticipate Jeremy still being on his outside. They're thinking he owned the corner probably, and then didn't compensate for giving racing room, and all of a sudden he had a car inside, and that's good car control on them both, though, for not ending up in the wall there after that.
Oh, look at this. Chris Warner's trying to get around on the outside of Oscar Wilkins, not making any successful work out of it. He'll keep on trying. He's very, very close indeed. He seems to have played it right so far, because he's kept himself close to Wilkins ahead. Mind you, the top 4 are still indeed close, but I think Chris Warner has managed to just save his tires, because he seems to be on with a bit of an advantage ahead, or against the car ahead, my apologies. So we'll see just how it plays out, but so far Oscar Wilkins doing a very good job of defending here, and that of course aids his teammate Michael Pedersen up ahead hugely at the moment, because it enables him to sustain the advantage, maybe even if they start fighting, pull away ever so slightly to help him take the checkered flag here again.
Yeah, this is great teamwork now by the Volante Sim Racing Loft.com drivers, with Oscar Wilkins in P2. Chris Warner also P2 in the championship, as you mentioned a little bit. So this is really playing into the hands of our Danish friend here, Michael Pedersen.
Yeah, so far at least, but not even halfway into this sprint race. Just 13.5 minutes gone on the time tower, and it's the 9th lap of racing, or it's actually the 10th lap, I guess. But anyway, Wilkins still able to defend, it seems, having a very good top speed, I think, against Chris Warner, because Warner doesn't really seem to be getting that close on the Volante car ahead, and we know that the SimRacingLove.com Volante Racing team indeed, on previous occasions, on other tracks where you often set the car up with a compromise. We've had Michael Pedersen talking about it as well, that they often opt to go a little lower on the downforce, and that of course helps them massively, and especially on a track like this.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge advantage into T6 there, having that huge speed on the straightaway, and then also the exit. So having that is going to be really difficult for the cars in the back trying to attack them into T6. Also, as you see this fight now to the 2 last corners, the Oscar Wilkins of the number 33 and Chris Warner in the number 75 coming over the start-finish line here now for the 10th time, starting their 10th lap. Also, I had this actually happen in real life once when I was at karting on one of the fastest tracks here in my country, and I opted for a longer gearing. It's not the same as aerodynamic, but I had that huge top speed coming into the last or the first corner, which is where the straightaway ended. And having those extra kilometers an hour made it really, really difficult for the cars in the back, or the karts in the back, trying to attack me into the first corner. But I was struggling a lot in the slower corners. But it's kind of a same effect you get here, just with the aero and wing.
It is very much so the same effect, and it's often I think the very best of drivers are able to run that lower downforce while still extracting the speed overall from the car, and in the end it just aids you so much when it comes to battling for track position. And if you're running a higher downforce setup against someone with a lower wing angle ahead of you, it just makes it so hard to get that run, and you'll spend your race frustrated, being quicker in the corners, slower in the straights, and you're gonna have to work harder for your time gain as well. But of course, always a little bit more risky having to gain in the corners than it is on the straights. But on the other hand, it can also be risky running a low wing in the corners, because the car might become a little bit more unstable as a product of it. So it's of course almost always a compromise game between the two. You'll see different drivers opting for different setups because of different driving styles.
Yeah, I think this is one of the tracks you'll actually get away with doing that, with having these really, really long straights and not that technical parts of the track. The most technical part being the Saxe curve, I think it's called, back in the stadium. Philip Hopley running off the track a little bit here. Also, getting onto the start-finish after that is pretty much Monza all the way.
Well, indeed. Oh, Chris Warner, he's not really been able to capitalize on being close to Oscar Wilkins. As a matter of fact, he's actually lost a little bit of time, and the gap is now growing. It's up to 0.7 of a second. And just thinking if Chris kind of overworked his tires while close to the rear end of the car ahead, is now paying the price. And as you mentioned, I think 2 weeks ago, Markus, it's not so much a question of tire wear in the sprint races, it's a question of tire temperature. If you overheat by over pushing and over driving the car, especially if you put in too much steering input and slide the car around, you'll build up the tire temperature so much quicker than the cars that are being driven a little bit more carefully.
Oh, Oscar Wilkins around!
Oscar Wilkins has lost it. He's caught it as well, but he's going to lose the position surely. And Chris Warner is up into second place.
Oh, that was exactly the opposite what they needed there. Sim Racing Loft, he hit the curb, I think, on the exit. Oh, on the entry it was completely Tokyo Drift there.
Yeah, very much so. I'll just see if I can bring back the pictures here, but with a view, yeah, just coming in a little too quickly, I think there, Oscar Wilkins, and the rear went. And, well, that's going to be a freebie for Warner, but does Warner have the pace to keep Oscar Wilkins at bay here? That's what we're going to see. Wilkins already closing in massively on the straights here, and that's...
Oh, on the brake side as well. Small touch there. Also, back to the point you just made from me from 2 weeks ago. He has really, really hot tires now after that four-wheel slide. But still really on the offense here. There's a touch there. Oh, they're both out. That's a huge impact there for the championship. Oscar Wilkins hits Chris Warner there, and they're both out of the sprint race.
Yeah, indeed. You can see Oscar Wilkins is trying to go to the inside, but there just isn't the space. They make contact, and it's enough to take. Look at that. That's a huge impact indeed. Oscar Wilkins, I think, gets away with it quite a lot better, actually, and he's just had a second big slide. Those tires are not going to be in a good shape afterwards. I think I can guarantee that. But Chris Warner, look at this. There is the touch. Huge impact, and that is surely going to be the end of his race. And that is one thing that is indeed looking strange when you see it. iRacing barrier physics with the sticky, gluey, strange barriers. But that's brought Gregory Franks up into third place here with 10 minutes of racing to go. The steady Belgian is at it yet again, and is looking to pick up more championship points when things are getting atrocious, and atrocious they've been so far tonight. Not that we've seen that many incidents. Indeed, we've seen 4 cars that are looking like they're not gonna make the checkered flag here, but we've seen some big incidents indeed here.
Yeah, the pile up in the start, and also now this drama with Chris Warner and Oscar Wilkins. I'm surprised Wilkins doesn't have more damage on this car than he does right now. That was a hard impact, and I think it all really stems from him really having the speed in his car and also the confidence, trying to make a move there to get past him, try to get the undercut early into the braking zone, but it was too late for him. It was on the brakes there, Chris Warner, and pile drove him, Oscar Wilkins, and ended up in a huge accident there for Oscar Wilkins and Chris Warner.
That is surely one of the biggest impacts we've had, I think, this season, and it will be a big impact, as you mentioned, Markus. I think for the overall standings, because it's left Michael Pedersen ahead of Sam Baxter now by 5 seconds in a very comfortable position, coming through for the race win, while Chris Warner is out of the race, 16th place. So it's going to create quite the gulf. And another thing is, for the feature race, Chris Warner is not even going to be able to take advantage of it with a good grid place or something like that. He's going to be 16th starting out, and let's just say that is far from optimal.
It's possible this will be his drop week here, Chris Warner. And if this was real life, he'd be storming into the steward's office right now. Actually, if this was real life, it'd probably be in an ambulance by now. That was a hard impact, but I think that's he's already on to writing that email with a protest, as some people mentioned in the comments here as well. Probably one for the stewards. I think it's best for us not to speculate anymore on who's at fault, but a huge impact nonetheless.
Yeah, indeed, and we can only speculate. So in turn, frankly, we're not going to, but we will be able to tell you more about that, I think, in 2 weeks' time, and about the decision that they will come to. And all the while, what happened here? Oh, this is Chris Warner coming back. So how does he come back from this one? That's by jumping to the pits, of course. Just a little bit of a hiccup with the event viewer. Anyway, Hasse Arafak has had a problem here from quite far up, but that's a very, very undramatic off-track incident that show up, of course, as well. And usually I'm able to filter them out because I can see that they're just short, but I actually didn't notice for this one, so my apologies for showing nonsense here. Greg Franks is really beginning to put the pressure up to Oscar Wilkins, but Wilkins got past, and I was just wondering how he did that. Let's just see here. Greg, fighting to keep control of the car, keeps it just about off the gravel there, which is in the bigger scheme of things probably going to be pretty good for Greg Franks. A nice save by him there, but it's put Oscar Wilkins ahead, and let's see if he can stay there for another 6 minutes.
I don't think Greg has anything up for Oscar right now. Oscar is he drives a lot better right now, just to say it out directly like that. Greg has a lot longer lines at the moment, and he's scrubbing tires a lot more. I heard a crash in the background there. I'm not sure what that was. Yeah, I think it was Arafag actually.
So it would seem, yeah. Well, I'm just gonna have a look at that. Here he comes. Goes around, and into the concrete barrier.
That's gonna hurt.
That's a big hit, and you can see the smoke pouring out the engine. This is indeed BMW M4 GT3 prototypes. Of course, it's not really a prototype. It's a prototype in the sense that it's work in progress, you could probably say. It does indeed have...
Where's Oscar again? Oscar is gone.
Wilkins is gone. He's been off.
I take that back. What I just said. Here we have it.
The curse of the commentator has struck again, and Wilkins catches the rest. And just that. Greg Franks does very well to stay out of it. Wilkins keeps it under control and comes back onto the track And you know what? Not too far ahead of James R. Hall, who has retaken 5th place with all the attrition going on, and a bronze driver now into the top 5. That is a very nice drive from James Hall. Really looking strong here. 5 more places down to the next bronze driver, and with less than 5 minutes to go as well. Looking very good for him to pick up not only a top 5 place, but also a class win here.
Some inside information here as well from Bob Boland as well, saying that Greg Franks has a lot of damage on his car from earlier incidents and is doing quite well keeping it around. And we can see it as well on his lines. He's struggling a lot keeping the car down on the apexes and hitting good lines and getting the speed out of the corners without scrubbing too much front tires. But still up to 3rd here. I think that's a pretty good showing here for Greg Franks in P3 in the sprint race.
It is, and we'll just have to see if it can come out any different. I don't think Oscar Wilkins, mind you, Oscar Wilkins carrying plenty of damage of his own. I don't think he's going to be able to close in just those 6 seconds in just about 3.5 minutes of racing. But we'll just have to see.
Also, this is a good race here for the leaders of both silver and bronze class. James Hall leading the bronze class, still P1 there, and also P5 in the overall standings. It's also really good for Paul Gosling in the 42 here, who's leading silver class, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to give it a... Yeah, Paul Gosling still leading the silver class. So I think they can get pretty close to locking down their championship already if they can have a really good finish in the feature race as well.
Good point. Good point is good points. Indeed, and I think we're gonna have a clearer picture of how the finishing order, the championship standings, is gonna be after this race. Of course, there is still a 45-minute feature race coming up here. 2.5 minutes left, just less than that, just about 2 minutes as he'll be crossing the line. That means 2 more laps for Michael Pedersen to complete.
Michael looked a little all over the place there in the end here. A little oversteer moment here and there. Last sector of this track. Really doing well now to maintain. He did really run away on the start of this race. Had a less than 2-second gap down to Oscar Wilkins for P2, and then hell broke loose down for P2 and P3.
Oh, look at this. Ballesteros getting company, I think, from Nelson Ignacio. If I am not completely mistaken. But Ignacio, I don't think he's going to have the pace to be able to overtake on Sandro Ballesteros ahead, because that gap's sprung out to a second already again. So I'm thinking it must have been a small mistake from the car ahead. This is the battle for 11th place. Currently the 2 closest cars on track.
Someone was pitting there. Not sure who that was.
Oh, that's Schneider. Schneider's pitting. Schneider's pitting from 10th place with very, just about a minute to go. Do you reckon he's under-fueled here? That could be it. And he's coming in for a splash and dash. That's going to be all deciding for his race here. And he was
a bit damaged with that car as well. Could be something else.
It could indeed be, but if he could have just held on for that, he's already out again. So that's surely going to be fuel. And he was going to be on pole position. Now he's going to be 14th, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's a big blow. But we have another bronze driver who was looking good for pole right now. That's Sandro Ballesteros in P10 right now, getting chased out by Nelson Ignacio.
Yeah, and Ignacio wants that pole position place. Oh, and I think he's going to get it because the E-Team Brit car of Sandro Ballesteros clearly overshooting the hairpin, braking a little too late, out braking himself. Or, yeah, as you can see, just straight lying in it, more or less. I think those fronts are indeed getting worn, and he gets out on the dusty section, where, well, there's even less grit, of course. But you can see through the corners the E-Team Brit car machine. The car machine, that's a bit of an oxymoron. The E-Team Brit machine car thing is indeed faster, I think, than the machine of Inaggio. But if Ballesteros, I think, is just pushing that a little bit too hard in his attempt to catch on 10th place. And with that said, Michael Pedersen is closing in on the checkered flag. We've passed the 30 minutes. And he's into the final sector of the track. The stadium sector indeed. And he's going to pick up another win here, Markus, and make it 4 out of the last 5 races that he's won.
Looking really good for the championship for sure. Michael Pedersen needs a perfect weekend in sim racing actually in Long Beach. And I think he can start looking at that trophy for first place.
Surely it won't be decided at that point. I think we're going to see a fight back today from Chris Warner, even though he's going to start some way down the grid. It's always difficult.
It really all comes down into how the drop weeks play out here for the both of them. Right now, it's looking best for Michael Pedersen. He's also crossing the line here, P1 in the sprint race.
Takes another win. Michael Pedersen and SimRacingLoft.com Volante Racing is looking good here. Sam Baxter gets second. It's been flying under the radar, but a very good drive in the end for himself. And Greg Franks nursing home the H Motorsports BMW for 3rd place and a podium finish for himself in a tough race indeed. A good points haul there. Oscar Wilkins gets 4th ahead of James Hall, who gets the top 5, who gets the class win and a huge points haul compared to the rest of the bronze field. Paul Gosling there coming around for 6th place ahead of Andrew Lovesey, who's missing quite a bit of his nose there. And Nils Manchanten in 8th ahead of Jeremy de Boever. And Nelson Inaggio, who holds on to it just ahead of Ballesteros. Ballesteros is going to gain nothing for it in terms of grid position for the feature race, while Nelson Inaggio is going to be on pole.
The small slidey job here on the grass here for Nelson as well. Michael Pedersen taking it really slow. I think he's out of fuel maybe. Or did you slow down the footage?
I did not slow down the footage. We're full speed here of Michael Pedersen, so he couldn't even
Michael isn't full speed, but the footage was.
Still a few cars out there. Let's see, that's the final machine of Luke Schneider. He has crossed the line as well in 14th place. We'll have Arafak starting 15th, Chris Warner starting 16th, Rømer starting 17th, Brocky's in 18th place, Bud Boland last and 19th on the grid for the feature race. With that said, our results are up. It is indeed a sprint race win for Michael Pedersen and SimRacingLove.com Volante Racing. Ahead of Sam Baxter for Fury Sim Sports and Greg Franks for H Motorsport. 4th, Oscar Wilkins for SimRacingLove.com Volante Racing as well. And then the aforementioned top 5 finish for James Hall and E-Team Brit. Then it's Paul Gosling, Andrew Lovesey, Nils Manchanten, Jeremy de Boever, and Nelson Inaggio rounding off the top 10. Ahead of Sandro Ballesteros, Philip Hopley, Mark Lewis, Luke Schneider, in fact, then Chris Warner, Bud Boland, and Hebra, all in the final bits and bobs of the field. The race being heavy indeed on the gold drivers here. I think we do have a bit of a scroll to do there because Bradley Brockies finds himself at the bottom of the field indeed. With that said, let's see if we have any interviewees in. We do, Markus, and I think he's just about ready to have a bit of a chat with you here. It's Michael Pedersen.
Good afternoon, Michael, and what a good race again here for you, Pedersen.
Yeah, this was a satisfying one, that's for sure. Fairly straightforward on my end, that's for sure, but it's always nice finishing on the top step for a race.
You left the better half of Florida after a huge weekend there, and also leading the championship, and now you're extending it in with the win in the sprint race. And what do you think your chances are in for the feature race?
Well, I think the race pace of our Volante Racing Sim Racing Love car is pretty good, with a setup that's really dialed in also for the long runs, I noticed. So I'm really hopeful for the feature race. Also, of course, with the unfortunate advantage of Chris Warner not being able to finish the race starting at the back. That's of course going to make it a bit easier because he's a fierce competitor, but yeah, really unfortunate to see what happened between my teammate and him.
We've also been into the small talking point of setups here. You talked about it as well, having a dialed-in car, and we all know that there's no official series using this car and this track combination at the moment. So really, what is the workflow before this race?
Well, so the procedure I take is that I find a sort of similar track, hopefully that I've raced the car on before and I've had the setup for, and then I kind of do the logical what's missing right now, and then try to make one tweak, and then did that help? What's missing now, and then keep on tweaking that until we end up having a decent race car.
So things are looking very good now for the championship lead. It hasn't been decided in any ways. It's looking better for you now coming into Long Beach. And how do you think that's going to go now going into Long Beach and the last round as well?
I think my mentality, due to the fact of what happened through this race, is going to change it a little bit, because I knew that it would be really tight on points with the next drop round coming in. But yeah, with this, because of course Chris has been so fast and been scoring consistent firsts and seconds when he's been competing. So, but yeah, with him not being able to finish this one, unfortunately, I think I'm gonna be in a bit of a more conservative position, not having to risk everything in every race. But yeah, I'm definitely still gonna keep pushing for wins, because it's always nice to finish first, as I said.
Okay, so starting P10 then in the feature race here, Michael Pedersen, you've been climbing from P10 to P1 before, so we might see something similar to that tonight.
I certainly hope so. I definitely hope to be talking to you later on in the evening.
Thank you so much then, Michael Pedersen, for the interview, and congratulations on race 1 win. And before we let you go, by traditions, we will give you a short minute to shout out the people around you helping you to this victory.
Well, of course, I'm gonna shout out my team, Valente Racing, and my teammate Oscar for helping making this setup in a quite quick few days. But also, of course, our sponsor Simracing Love too. By the way, just dropped a new clothing collection. If anybody were to be interested in some sim racewear, definitely go check out their Instagram and their store page.
Thank you so much, Michael Pedersen, and good luck in round 2.
Thank you.
Indeed, that was Markus having a bit of a word with Michael Pedersen. And with that said, that rounds off the first part of this broadcast. We'll be returning in just but a few minutes, as we'll be joining the feature race lobby. We'll be cranking up the music shortly. We'll be putting you on a waiting screen, and we'll be doing our best to get back as quickly as humanly possible. A good chance as well to check out our sponsor, Brucey Racewear. A link to their webpage is in the description. You can find underneath, should you not know that. Which everybody does. My apologies. Anyway, Markus, we'll be back in just about 5 minutes for 45 minutes of more racing here from Hockenheim. It's going to be great, and we'll see you again very shortly.
Myself to the night, there's no
Ladies and gents, welcome back after our short break. We're in for the feature race here for the SRW BMW Trophy. We've had a brilliant and exciting sprint race indeed. And usually the feature race presents us with even better racing because there's just that little bit more to consider for the drivers as well with the pit stop, with the added 15 minutes of racing, making drivers that take a steady approach to the opening parts of the race often rewarded come the ending. Of course, Markus is still with me here. And Markus, how would you summarize what we saw in the sprint race today? Oh, Markus was not with me here because I was indeed on deafen. My apologies, Markus. So you could not hear my question even, which is kind of an evil joke to play him because I asked for your thoughts on what we've just seen here in the sprint race. Of course, that's going to be hard when I don't undeafen myself. Apologies there, mate. But indeed, what is your thoughts about what we just saw? I'm just going to ask it again. What we just saw there just a moment ago.
I think it was a different race. It was, it's... Oh, this one shot in here. Quick extrusion off the track. I think this is really showing that we're on a new track on iRacing. I think some people are probably not adapting so well to braking spots and braking zones, trying to get used to where the car slows down and which reference points you're supposed to use. And I think it's really coming down to inexperience on the track. I think most people here have had some kind of trial and error on this track in other sims, probably with different physics, and just trying to adapt that into iRacing. I think that's been a bit of a challenge for some, maybe.
A good point indeed that it's indeed a challenge here for watching Sam Baxter on his way around the track. Now we've got just a few minutes to go. We need everyone in, and that from there on, of course, we will be able to forward the session, but we do need to make sure that everybody indeed is in. And I'm just glancing. We don't have anyone joining us in between the two races, but we do have the same 19 drivers lining up. I think they're all about ready at this point. It won't be long, I suspect. We'll have the session forwarded. And indeed, Sam Baxter, sorry there, Markus, I did cut you off there, mate.
Oh yeah, no, I just saw Nelson Ignacio there with a short excursion off the track, driving the rallycross layout on the different part of the circuit.
Well, let's see
Have
here.
it again.
There it is, the replay of Nelson Ignacio, providing us all with a little bit of entertainment here indeed, as he does take the Joker lap on the outside around the DRS sign and back onto the
parabolic. He won't get DRS that
parabolica.
time, say. We'll get that DRS for this lap, but nothing to worry about for him, I don't think. So, feature race, Hasse, take us through the rules here, because it's quite a bit different from the sprint.
Yeah, just a short recap. 45 minutes of racing, a 50% fuel cap, a single fast repair, and the top 10 grid order decided by a reversed version, if you will, of the finishing order from the sprint race. So the 10th is going to be on pole, the 9th place finisher is going to be second, and so on and so on. And those 50% of fuel they're going to be able to carry is going to take them around 30 minutes into the race, which means we'll be seeing pit stops for fuel, but not for tires, since that, of course, does not really make sense, because we only have 15 minutes to do afterwards. Of course, tires aren't going to be that worn either. But what we mentioned with tires coming into the sprint race, indeed, is only amplified here for the feature race with the 15 extra minutes. And I mentioned it before, but it's often a game of starting out slowly and then increasing the pace as the race goes on.
Yeah. Only reason we'd have a pit stop with tires here is if they had punctures, and that happens very rarely in iRacing. Chris Warner looking a little angry now after the first race here, not going the way that he wanted it to. He's starting back in P16, I think it is, after last race. It's going to be really, really difficult for him to try to get up through the field with that.
It's a long way back indeed. 15th place there's 16th it is actually Chris Warner, I believe. It's gonna be a challenge indeed. But also knowing these races, Markus, you can easily, I'm saying easily, I should probably watch my mouth here, but you can indeed make up a lot of positions on the opening 2-3 laps. And on a track like this, with the big braking zones into sharp corners, where of course overtaking opportunities are very much present, it's not the worst place to have this kind of grid position. We could see someone making their way, and of course someone with the talents of Chris Warner. If anybody can do it, he can do it indeed. We've seen Michael Pedersen come through as well from far down, and I think indeed by now we have the session tick over. And Bradley Brocky's being registered on pole position here. That indeed, it's going to be... That's a little... Oh, I think it's been fixed. Just about. Just do a quick recall of the grid. It'll be back up. Nelson Inacho starts in pole ahead of Jeremy de Boer, Nils Manschamp, and Andrew Lovesey. Paul Gosling is 5th ahead of James Hall. Then Oscar Wilkins, Greg Franks, Sam Baxter, and Michael Pedersen. And then in 11th place, as they finished, it's Sandro Ballesteros. It's Philip Hopley, 12th indeed. And just scrolling down there, Mark Lewis, 13th, ahead of Luke Schneider, who is indeed German. Sorry, Luke, for not getting that fixed earlier. Hasse Fact is 15th, ahead of the aforementioned Chris Warner, who does have a big job on his hands for tonight. Bud Boland is 17th, ahead of Seb Heverer and Bradley Brockets.
Who almost ended up being our pole sitter here after short timing error. But we have a new pole sitter now, and that is Nelson Inacho. I think this is the first time he's led the field to green for the first time in the season.
Yeah, well, I don't, to be honest, have the memory to recall whether that's correct or not. So I'm gonna have no opinion whether that's right or wrong. It's gonna be all up to Markus to be a goalkeeper for his own shot there. But Nelson Inacho is indeed going to be leading off the field here with Jeremy de Boer. It's silver drivers all through the top 5. A single bronze driver in there as well. And then gold drivers all the way down to 10th here as they roll through the last corner. The safety car is in, and Nelson Inacho waits ever so slightly. And that's... It's going to be a messy start indeed here into turn 1. Let's see if they all make it through. 3 wide there. Oh, Wilkins over the curb, and someone's very wide on the outside, but I think he had to. And now it's narrowing in. And let's see if everybody makes this braking zone into turn 2.
There's no cars upside down yet, and that's a good sign. No cars sideways here in turn 2 as well. So we might get every car up into turn 6 at the moment. Look at Chris Warner as well in the background here making moves.
Indeed, Warner's up into 13th place, having picked up the first 3 cars already, and somebody's going slowly there on the outside, dropping down through. I think that's James Hall. That's such a beautiful race in the first one. He's lost out here early days. And he's
a lot of movement here. A lot of movement, some contact as well here. The car in the wall there. Who's that?
And they're coming back.
Coming back again.
Somebody needs to
hard impact.
I am so sorry to see that. It's Greg Franks who's been collected by that incident. I think somebody needed to hold their brakes there for a second as the field came by.
Oh, that was awkward with a big A.
So here is de Boer, who has the contact with one of the Ignium cars, and they then get sent into the wall. They're rolling back onto the track, you see, right into everybody. Look at Greg Franks. He does not have a chance to come around there. He gets hit. He's no control over it. One of the Brit cars as well, and I think those two are about the only ones just as the Brit car comes back across. And...
that's Greg again. He's been hit twice, almost. Nils Shannon getting the last bit of that contact. Chris Lauren was so close to that. I think I saw some blue smoke coming up from his left front tire there.
Easily could have been chaos on the opening lap as well here. And look at this now, because Oscar Wilkins is charging Sam Baxter right on his tail, and then Michael Pedersen having come up into 5th place already. Michael Pedersen flying up through the field here, making short work of everyone so far. Here comes Wilkins on the inside.
This is going to be a drop pick for most people, I think. Horrible race starts here in race 1 and race 2. Not exactly what anyone wanted to see. Hopefully we've got a better race in Long Beach in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, Lovesey with a bit of a flash there to the Dutchman ahead of him as they come in to the next set of corners in the final stadium section. Chris Warner here up into 7th place there. 9th place is gained. And we're on lap 2. He's looking to attack Paul Gosling. He's on his bumper more or less. And he's just waiting for whatever chance he can get to get past. He'll take it, I'm sure. And he looks like a man determined to come through today and take points here in the feature race, which he of course very much needs. Luke Schneider right ahead of James Hall and Bud Boland as well. This is the lead duel in bronze. And look at this here. Wilkins now coming up alongside, and he's going to take the lead away from Nelson Ignacio. And there's a very big gaggle of cars here. For lack of a better expression, into turn 1 they come. They just about make it through here. Sam Baxter's going to make a move, I think, up the inside of Ignacio as well. It's action in behind here as Michael Pedersen's just trying to get past on Andrew Lovesey. And he's just not making it work yet. But Oscar Wilkins now leading for SimRacingLove.com. Volante Racing ahead of the Fury Sim Sports car of Sam Baxter. Nelson Ignacio for 27 Motorsports. Now getting past again here. The long way around the outside, but he's well past here as Pedersen has a look as well. And there's plenty of action here in the opening laps. And what's that? That sure looks like a touch there, yeah.
Yeah, small contact there between Nelson and who was that? The 58 of Sam Baxter for 3rd, or for 2nd, I mean. Out of the hairpin. And look at the car in the back there as well. Andrew Lovesey trying to make as much in the braking zones as he can. Back then again, Michael Pedersen in P5 at the moment, as you said earlier. Chris Warner now also on the roll, trying to get past Paul Gosling. Lots of flashing with the lights here on these BMWs. Oh, someone's off as well. Someone's off. That's Oscar Wilkins. It's Sam Baxter, and he's back on again in the track. And Oscar as well in the wall, and that's his race done for tonight for sure.
And
more crashing! More crashing!
No, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. And that's going to have major implications for the rest of this race, I believe. A lot of cars involved there. Immediate pit stop. Sam Baxter, as we see here, having picked up damage. Oscar Wilkins again into the pits. Certainly, it has not been his night of racing here whatsoever. And I'm just going to see if we can recall what happened here a moment ago. And I believe this could very well be it. Instead, Oscar Wilkins losing it. So we'll have a shot at... Oh, so here's the first situation with Wilkins. Oh, picking up Sam Baxter. He hits the wall. But then what happens further up? It's just ahead. It's Lovesey. Oh, Baxter goes up. He hits... Oh, my word. He hits Pedersen.
Got a huge hit of that. Huge damage on the 7 there. 75 as well. We got both the championship leaders right now in 2nd and 3rd at the moment.
So here, here it is. Baxter there makes a little bit of a contact with Ignacio. Then he goes off, comes back on, hits Ignacio. Michael Pedersen gets it. That is atrocious.
Yeah, hits him coming back on the track and then hits him again, leaving the track and coming back on again. If there was ever an incident looking or that needed to be looked at by the series, I think that is it.
Yeah, they're going to be a busy set of stewards indeed here, but it's thrown the race situation on its head again. Here is Andrew Lovesey now leads Michael Pedersen and Chris Warner. Both of their cars looking ever so slightly worse for their wear. Luke Schneider has managed to come through. He's up into 4th place now ahead of Bud Boland. than
Pedersen
James
doesn't
Hall.
have a hood anymore. Pedersen doesn't have a hood anymore. This is going to be very, very good for Chris Warner, I think. He's going to have a huge advantage with that aero that he's running, since Pedersen has a huge drag on his car at the moment with the panels off his car.
Yeah, that's not gonna work out for him forever, I'm afraid. The question is if it will make sense for the drivers involved in that incident to take their pit stop as early as possible, to also take the fast repair and then be able to come out maybe in a just somewhat competitive position. Here as Michael Pedersen tries to defend from Chris Warner, parks the car on the apex, leaves no room to pass for Warner. And he's still ahead.
Back as well. Bob Boland and Luke Schneider are really duking it out. This could be a good rebound for Bod here, having that first lap incident.
I think he's just gotten past there on Luke Schneider. Went round the outside. Schneider making, maybe just giving that little bit extra space, a little bit too much, to be honest. And of course, it's always okay to leave plenty of room for racing like that, but it cost out in that situation for Luke Schneider. You can just see he lost a little bit of exit speed by it, and James Hall is now right on his tail.
Huge problems here for Greg Franks, who's retired in his second race after that first incident, I reckon. So not a good point stay for him. You can see it pulling out into the side. Decided to retire the race for no known reason. He had that fast repair done on his car, but he decided to park it regardless. So huge complications this race, the second race of the evening. Also a good good warm-up for Long Beach now in 2 weeks' time. I think that's going to be even more hectic.
Yeah, but maybe people on the drivers here are getting lulled into a false sense of security. One thing that's for sure, when Long Beach, you're going to be kept on your toes for every second of the race. Here comes James Hall up the inside. That's a very nice move. He can stop it at time, and I think he just about parked it on the apex. But look at that on the outside. That's a very nice cutback move from
Bob Boland and Warner as well in the front there.
Boland. Warner's going at it side by side here, just behind Michael Pedersen, who has no hood. And it's incredible. Look at Bob Boland on the outside here. And he's going to get it. Beautiful move. Bob Boland up into third place here. Let's have another look at that.
Making a huge move there. Also getting a huge margin for Michael Pedersen as well, keeping that car between him and Warner. But having no empathy for none of these guys at the moment. Doesn't have to either.
Not at all. And Bob Boland might just be sensing that there could be a victory in this for him, because they're not too far off of Andrew Lovesey. It's just about 2.5 seconds ahead. And if he can keep up this pace, he should be able to get the run on Michael Pedersen. But look at this here. Now Chris Warner's right on his tail as well. And if Warner can get this run here down the 5-start finish straight, maybe not turn 1 the place, but turn 2 indeed, and can keep it up here. Let's see. Gets a good run, I think, as well, Chris Warner. You reckon we're going to see a move here?
I don't think it's time. It's too early here.
Look at here in behind, though. James Hall with an absolute send here.
Hall, sorry. The Holy Cow racing car looking... No, that's Schneider. Yeah, sorry. Schneider then getting a move on him. James Hall getting past.
No, it's the other way around. James Hall in the E-Brit car up the inside of the Holy Car.
Yeah.
The Holy Cow car. The Holy Car. I'm getting things right tonight,
and it's getting back here again. Luke Schneider trying to take that position back again. So this is a fight for P1 in bronze at the moment, as well as we have that fight for P1 in silver, or in gold, which has then engulfed, if you can say it like that. Schneider keeping Hall off his tail for a little bit. Two really tight battles here in the front. Oh, and it's an even tighter battle here. Bradley Brookes and Philip Hopley, I think it is, in the 6 car. Or banging it out.
Very much so. Rubbing his racing, they say. Well, that certainly was just that. It was something that could easily have ended in tears here, as Nils Manchanden is having his race being well, let's just say not good, I believe. It's a bit of a show for him, and let's Well, what just happened? Oh, Philip Hopley's gone off! Because I saw him close, and then I saw him far behind all of a sudden. He enters too quickly, can't stop the car, gets on the gravel, and... well, keeps it pointing the right way at least there, and ends up losing around 6.5 seconds. That is not the end of the world, even in a relatively short race like this. Something you can indeed recuperate from, but he'll be annoyed with himself. Oh, look at this here, Pedersen defending the inside from Bud Boland. You can see Boland with the better car. Boland looking for the exit, bouncing on the curbs, and Chris Warner is having a first row seat to the battle going on up ahead, and he'll be licking his lips, hoping that he can take advantage of whatever's going on. Oh, and I just...
contact!
Curse of the commentator striking again, I'm afraid.
That wasn't good at all for Pedersen, getting taken out completely by Bob Boland there. Oh, way too late on the brakes there. Almost looked like
and then they make contact yet again.
And again, yeah. Oh, he needed to keep that car out in front. He would have had that faster, but I think he has to go in and take it prematurely now.
But Boland, I think he clips the grass maybe, and he comes in super hot. Way too quickly, I'm afraid. And it has, well, another incident. And that's going to have major complications because now Chris Warner has been let through basically up into second place. Andrew Lovesey with a clean car, for all I know at least, so it seems. He's still extending his gap here. It's now 3.3 seconds to Chris Warner, sitting on an advantage on top speed. Luke Schneider, James Hall, they're now battling it out, duking it out here, the bronze drivers, for third place overall. What a spectacle here. And we're just 15 minutes into the race, a third of the distance, a third of the time passed, well, more or less, almost. But we've seen plenty of action so far.
Yeah, but surely we're going to be in the pit window very soon now, in just a few minutes' time here. I think if anything, Pedersen, car off the road here. That's a little bit here.
That's Hall, and he was battling Schneider for third, and now he's lost out as well. He's had a little bit of a slide there, I'm afraid. Let's just see here, because let's just see up ahead. Oh, they make contact.
No, I think they're both on the grass there.
Was that it? Well, it's a good question. I'm just gonna come back this here. Schneider.
Oh no, he hits him. Yeah, you're right.
They do make contact just ever so slightly, but Luke Schneider gets away with it the better. The car ahead, of course, him being at fault in any way. He's got the imposing company here from Sam.
But surely, I have to break in this because I think this could be a really big opportunity for Michael Pedersen, because he has a broken car now for all that it's worth. I mean, I don't think I've seen a BMW that broken with the number 7 in this series so far. But we're getting into the pit window for sure. I think if he goes in now in the next lap and fills that tank up into the brim, gets that faster per, I think he's still in contention for the win if he can get a good undercut here.
The problem is he's probably going to be spending longer in the pits than everybody else will be pitting later, because he'll be having to put more fuel in. But indeed, get that car running out at his usual Michael Pedersen pace. I don't think that fuel is going to cost him too much. I think he's going to be able to go around quickly. And I do think you're right. And I think a lot of the drivers will just be waiting for that moment when they know they can come in and safely rim the tank and go the distance. Because a lot of these drivers are indeed carrying damage. And it's costing them a lot of time indeed. So I do believe you're right. I do believe we will see these drivers running damaged cars from the top of the order coming soon. And just what kind of effect will have the race, we'll have to see. Because of course, Andrew Lovesey, he has a fine car indeed, and he's gonna stay out for all that's worth and see what'll be there to pick up for him at the end of it.
Yeah, if you look at Oscar Wilkes as well, he was involved in that first kerfuffle in the Saxon curve part of the track in the early stint. He had a new car after that for sure, because he's running 38, low 38 times here, 38.3 on the last lap time here. Also in traffic, I think most of the part. So if Michael gets in now, and if he can get an undercut pretty early, I think this could be. I think he could still be in contention. I think either next lap or the next lap after that, I think he can actually look at finishing the race with the amount of fuel that he needed to actually get the car home.
That is indeed a good point. 17 minutes into the race now. And no one coming in here. And we might just be... Of course, the drivers here, they know much better than us just how much fuel they're going to need to finish things. And if they started with more than half a tank to finish half an hour's worth of racing for the sprint race, it's of course only natural that they're gonna wait until it's at least safe. But then again, Michael Pedersen 4th place at the moment. You know, even with the incidents, even with the damage, 4th place, he can still come back from this and at least make sure that he doesn't lose out too much on too many points to Chris Warner, who could be in for one of the big drives this season. If he's able to... I'm sorry, just gonna continue that one, but if he's gonna be able to finish his race ahead of Andrew Lovesey, he'll be clapping his hands coming from 16th to 1st. That is it's impressive indeed. Of course, we shouldn't make presumptions about that. It could go wrong indeed. But so far, still staying out here.
I think that's why it's so important for Michael to try and get that early stop in and get damage repaired, because he's now also stuck behind Luke Schneider. I think he's also a lot quicker than Luke, even with the damaged car. And he's in. Sam Baxter and Michael Pedersen are in for their stops right now. So I think this is going to go for an undercut strategy here, and we'll see what Chris Warner will do responding on this.
Very good. I'm sorry, but just very good question if Warner comes in or not, if he sticks to his starting strategy or throws it around. As Baxter, Pedersen, they're going to be all the way, at least more or less, at the back of the field, but...
Pedersen's out. Baxter is following. Both of them with clean cars. I think we'll see some real pace right now. And the question remains if Warner's going to respond immediately, or if he's going to stay out a little bit more, get some more laps under that chassis before he comes in. Sam is, I think he is trying to compromise here, helping his teammate a little bit, trying to challenge Pedersen a little bit for position here. Gosling as well in the fight here. Who's that with? Oscar Wilkins and Bradley Brookes, is it?
Yeah. So it is.
In the unnumbered car, carrying the 105. Oh, we've seen that before with Oscar Wilkins. That didn't end well. Now it ended a lot better.
And here Bud Boland trying to defend from James Hall. We'll go on board with here. So we've passed the 20 minutes marker of this race. Bud Boland coming in for an early pit stop too. 20 minutes gone now, which means we're not far away from the halfway mark of the race.
Look at how wide you can run that first corner, if you dare. No off track unless you're actually off the curb, I don't think. At least from the testing I've done on this track. Looking really good here though as well. P2, he had that P1 pretty secured, or not secured, I wouldn't say that, but he was looking at that P1 in bronze with Luke Schneider for a small second. And the small contact that led him to dissipate each other. Luke Schneider then into P1, P3 overall. James Hall now P5, P2 in bronze. He has Oscar Wilkins as the next car back down with 13 seconds to go. And Oscar has to pit again, surely.
Yeah, surely Oscar Wilkins will have to pit again. So I don't think we can really count him in to the results, given that I don't think any of the other top runners will have to make that second pit stop. As you can see, it's a German battle for overall third here. With Luke Schneider still holding on to it ahead of Seb Herber. And another time, I should just keep my mouth shut tonight, shouldn't I? Because more or less every time I make any comment about anything, it seems to go the other way. And impressively so, Luke Schneider manages to actually stay ahead of Seb Herber. But of course, Seb Herber he's coming in as well. He realizes he's not gonna be well off behind Luke Schneider there. He's throwing away time, and he's coming in for his pit stop. Maybe a little bit earlier than he anticipated as well, but you know, he also could have picked up a bit of a knock there and a bit of car damage that needs repairing, and we'll have to see what shape the car's in when he comes out.
I think we need to have a look at that Seb Herber pit exit there, because did I hear someone hit something? It almost sounded like it sounded like that. Could just be me there trying to get some more drama here than we needed to. But I'm surprised that Chris Warner hasn't gone in yet and tried to answer to that undercut from Pedersen. Surely, maybe didn't know that already. Maybe have it. Oh yeah, no, it looks pretty decent. No problems here for Seb.
Smooth sailing coming in, and he's out ahead of Boland too. So the Simracersworld esports cars, first and second, I'm sorry. We're 11th and 12th at the moment. And, well, just looking up ahead here, Michael Pedersen getting involved now. He's going to get past Jeremy de Boever. And this is, of course, or what could at least be the problem for Michael Pedersen now, as he's having to fight his way up through the field, and he's wasting no time here putting up the inside of Jeremy de Boever's car. The question is, as they're still side by side here, he's gonna manage to put himself ahead, which I think he did by getting a much better exit, and well, that usually does the trick. Michael Pedersen up into 8th place, and
138.6 after he stopped there. 138.2 on Warner on the last lap time, also putting down his fastest lap time of this race. So the pit stop here not really, as of right now, making Pedersen go any faster. Pretty on pace with Warner at the moment, so I think Warner is able to stay out here without losing too much.
the Boever's in the pits as well now, so he's coming in for his stop. And Sam Baxter just about a second down on Michael Pedersen. Still remains to be seen whether he can really challenge the Dane. And of course, as you mentioned, a very good point as well, that any problems Sam Baxter can cause Michael Pedersen, any concentration he'll have to throw the way of Sam Baxter's car being in the mirror, and maybe even bringing the fight to Pedersen here is of course going to be all Chris Warner needs up ahead to make sure that his strategy works out. As long as his pace is as it is right now, it's advantage Chris Warner, as he'll be able to do a shorter stop at the end, having to put in less fuel. But he might have a disadvantage though, as soon as Pedersen gets some clear air here. That's what I'm thinking.
I think the fuel amount is going to be pretty similar to one of to if you're stopping early or not. I think it's just about having that extra liter coming over the lane. The advantage for Warner now is with that late stop is that it's going to have a lighter car when he gets that fuel. Also, that will be less impactful on his tires. But I don't think he needs to think anything off that because he's running so fast lap times right now. Pedersen is not able to answer on it. 138.9 on Pedersen's last lap time, 38.4 on Warner. So
you see, he's held up at the moment. He's on the tail of Philip Hopley. He had traffic. I'm sorry, just before that as well here, Pedersen. As we're into the final 20 minutes of racing here. And of course, that's the explanation to his lap times as well, because you can see Sam Baxter right on his tail now. Oh, Hopley with a little bit of a wide exit. Oh, look at Baxter. Lost a bit of time there, overshooting it here. Michael Pedersen up the inside of Philip Hopley, the number 6 and the number 7 side by side here through the Parabolica. I think Pedersen got the pace advantage, and he simply just pulls in ahead of Philip Hopley. And that might help really distance Sam Baxter behind here.
Can we get a short look at the temperature on the asphalt right now?
You very much can. There it is.
Yeah, it's a degree hotter now. Yeah, it's a degree hotter now than it was in the last race. So that I think as well is really striking in on lap times a little bit, running a bit slower now in the second race.
Yeah, indeed. You can see up ahead Warner is lapping, what is that, 7/10 of a second quicker than Lovesey, so he's really gaining here. Into the pits comes James Hall from 3rd place. We'll see just where that puts him. Michael Pedersen currently 27 seconds behind, but in 5th place, which is a perfect situation, I'm sorry, actually to be in for Michael Pedersen, because he's got clear track space now all the way up to the cars ahead. He's not going to be held up. He'll really be able to show his pace now, provided, of course, that he'll be left alone by Sam Baxter in behind. And Oscar Wilkins, who's now in 3rd place overall, just put in the fastest lap of the race, 138.18 for the Dutchman here. He's a little bit on an island, I'm afraid, because looking at the gaps here, it's 27 seconds up to Chris Warner, and it's 20 seconds down to Michael Pedersen. Now up ahead, Andrew Lovesey is finding that his lead, Markus, is quickly diminishing, and the car of Chris Warner making itself bigger and bigger in his mirrors, and they both come in here just before the half-hour mark.
Yeah, virtually Pedersen is P3 at the moment. Wilkins having to do that second pit stop as well after the skirmish in the start. I think this is looking very, very good for Warner. I think this could be a potential race win. Those lap times from Pedersen, they're coming in too late, as you can see now. The undercut strategy did not work for him, but he needed to get that pit stop in early to get at least some competitive lap times in there, Pedersen.
I think also Pedersen, as he mentioned in your interview actually with him, he said that doesn't need to sacrifice everything. He just needs to pick up points.
Yep.
He can put in a more Alan Prost-esque approach to the last few rounds of this season.
You know, if he can get that 3rd place, I think that's going to be helping a lot here in the championship. But anything under that, I think that's going to make life a little bit more difficult for our Danish friend. He is not that far back from Warner or Lovesey at the moment. So if something happens between the two, he could well be in the fight again.
Up ahead with the leader, Andrew Lovesey, looking back on Chris Warner. Lovesey is looking back over his shoulder, probably seeing the hurt in the eyes of Chris Warner after that first race for him, but it'll be fire in his eyes as well, wanting to redeem himself with a race win. Flying past on the lap traffic here, Andrew Lovesey, who is all respect due for a very strong showing so far in this race, having done a very good job indeed. But have to see whether he can keep at it. With the nose cam here from Chris Warner's car, hitting that apex beautifully, almost touching the sand there, really utilizing every inch of tarmac available to him there, and a great risk indeed, but he needs to take the risks now if he's to get the win.
Great showing from Andrew Lovesey though, starting from P4, P3, I think it was. So in P1 now after that huge skirmish in the start of this race. Very entertaining and very spectacular race this was so far, Hasse. And hopefully we'll get something along the lines here with more cars finishing in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and we're going to Long Beach, another new addition to iRacing, and something that when it was announced, Markus, we were both sitting there just rubbing our hands just at the thought of what those two races were going to be, because Long Beach, what a magnificent street track. In my opinion, I think that is probably the best street track in the world, and it has some very, very unique features. It's a sort of a quirky track indeed, but it's actually also something that we've sort of been known. We've been coming for iRacing for a very, very long time indeed. It's been sort of an unfinished version laying around that you could buy and drive on, but not really race on. Now it's been finished, it's here, and we've got it coming up in 2 weeks. As I said, we are very excited about it, so hoping for good stuff here. As Chris Warner is getting closer and closer to the rear end of Andrew Lovesey. And, well, he does have time I won't say plenty, but 13 minutes is a long time to defend against a driver with that kind of pace advantage. Of course, Chris Warner also utilizing the fast repair in his last pit stop there, and that's certainly aiding his pace as well. You can see a very good exit here, Markus. You reckon he's going to be lining it up for turn 2 here?
I think we're going to see it in turn 2, yes, in the entrance of turn 6, or the exit of turn 3. I think that's more, or turn 4 actually. It's a bit of a weird ordeal there. Actually, no, it's coming in here a lot earlier, T2. This is usually something frowned upon. You shouldn't do it this early. Look at this. It's going to have a huge slipstream advantage now, the 88. Andrew Lovesey is definitely going to try and attack again.
He's going to come back. He's going to be shown the outside. Is the parabolic going to be long enough for the Ignim cars actually be ahead in the braking zone? No, it's not going to be.
Oh,
it's almost overhead. Is that the Boover's off?
Oh, it is.
Oh, the Boover, he's getting ever so slightly in the way here. So doing a good job second time around of getting himself out of the way there. And Lovesey keeps ahead, stays ahead, gets a very good exit there, stays ahead of Chris Warner. So good call there, Markus, and maybe a little bit of a lack of patience maybe there from Chris Warner.
Definitely impatience. Had he done that move in the exit of turn 4, I think it would have been better off there, actually challenging him into the hairpin and then controlling the position in the race after that. And right now, he's put himself in a much worse position. And without a doubt, Andrew is going to learn from this and take that into the next braking zone. And this is opening up the doors as well for Michael Pedersen. The harder these two guys are fighting, the closer he's going to get. He's 8.6 back now. They lost 2 seconds on that fight.
Yeah, indeed. And Michael Pedersen, you know, it's as you said, Markus, it's not going to take long. If they keep on fighting like this, if they keep on really going at it, which they probably will, and it can go 2 ways. Either Chris Warner is going to get past on Andrew Lovesey, or Michael Pedersen is going to catch up to these two, I think. Even because we've got 11 minutes left, I think that's going to be enough time. Even though 8.5 seconds, it is a big gap indeed, but these drivers are really going close to one another, and I don't think it's the last time we've seen them side by side.
No, we'll see here. Chris Warner didn't get the best of exits, but he has that slipstream, and this is a long straightaway for GT cars, but it's not looking very good for him so far, is it? Andrew has got full control over the P1 at the moment, especially now for the slower parts of the track now. But I don't think this is actually going to play into the hands of the Volante Racing driver. I think he's too far back, so I think this is going to be between the two guys here for the lead.
Just depends on how much time they're going to throw away. You can see they're 1.3 seconds on the last lap. And that's going to, if that's what they throw away every lap, which I don't think it's going to be, but if they throw right that amount of time every lap, I think they're actually going to be caught. And you can see here, yet again here, Warner. You know, Michael Pedersen is going to be, well, it's going to be an interesting one. Very, very nice defensive driving, by the way, from Andrew Lovesey at the moment. He's really doing a sterling job of keeping Chris Warner at bay. He's not really giving him any chances. And every time he indeed has a chance to either close the door or perform the cutback, well, he does it brilliantly. And he's not made a move that's been a mistake so far. Let's see if he can hold on to this level for just over 9 more minutes of racing here.
Better entrance there for Chris. He needs to play cool now.
Looking at it here, Michael Pedersen having lap traffic here at a crucial point. He only gained the 10th of a second on the last lap. And he's going to be fuming in there. He's going to be absolutely fuming. He's lost half a second on this lap as well alone. And look at this now. They're side by side again. Side by side again, and this time around.
Inside looks like it will prevail as well. Keeping the inside here, Andrew Lovesey, having full control over this race. I think the best part now for Chris is just to cool down and be patient here. He has a huge gap down to Pedersen. There's no need to risk another position here with the crash. There's been enough crashes this season, or this race already, so just kicking back and relaxing a little bit now, I think that's going to be the best advantage for him. He doesn't need to have a huge gap to the 88, he just needs to get ahead of him.
Indeed. But, well, they say catching is one thing and getting past is indeed quite another. We're seeing some very good examples of just that I do think there's a little bit of a straight line advantage as well for Andrew Lovesey, who might be running a lower downforce setup. And you can see he's not able to touch the lap times that Chris Warner is setting. But Chris Warner, once he's on the tail of that car ahead, he's not really able to get that decisive advantage. And Andrew Lovesey has been outsmarting him on a few occasions already. Now, though, they're going to be close. But it's yet again up to turn 2. We've seen it before. He's going to go for it. Is he always going to wait?
Oh, this is looking better now. Trying to get more height here on the exit. Could be more advantageful for Chris Warner. On the exit here of turn 4 into T5. I think this is going to be a lot, but I think this is going to be Warner's corner, actually. Needs that speed, though. Oh, yeah. This is looking very, very good from the number 75 here.
Andrew
Keeping the outside.
Let's see. Lovesey on the inside. Don't write him out of the equation just yet. Because he holds on ahead. He moves just ever so slightly across the
small touch
making
there,
contact there, and it's getting a little bit too close to call there, and almost heartbreak for the two. And they need to just cool it down ever so slightly, or it'll be another win. And an unlikely win indeed for Michael Pedersen if they keep up that kind of racing. They won't stay alive to see the checkered flag, I'm afraid.
I think Chris is eyeing him up right now, seeing where he's good and where he's not being able to really kick back again.
Oh, both of them with a little bit of a slip there as well. Sorry to cut you off there, Markus. But you could just see they're on the limit now. And they're working their tires, I would believe, a lot harder than Michael Pedersen, who's beginning to show his pace again. But only half a second he gained on the last lap. Oh, a little bit of a blink there. Another blink. Let's hope it's not connection issues for real for Warner, who is back for now.
You can see Pedersen in the back of the picture as well. Huge extent here from Andrew. Chris again trying to size him up. If he can disrupt him on the entrance of turn 2, he can have a good chance into turn 6 with that added speed. But it's going to be a really difficult task for Chris Warner here trying to get past Andrew, it seems.
I think you're right. I think you're right indeed. Exhaust cam. And I think he's going to try it this time around, being shown all the way to the outside again. He's got the nose ahead coming in.
Undercut, undercut, undercut. No, can't get there, but he's trying to hang on the outside again. I'm surprised I'm not seeing Chris Warner pinching him all the way down to the entrance of this corner here. You can do that here, and Andrew's been putting himself in that position every single time. Too wide now coming into this corner, and still advantage Lovesey.
Just 5 more minutes, Markus. He needs to hold on. And for every second that ticks on, Andrew Lovesey is coming closer and closer to a famous race win here, but he really needs to hold on. And the pressure is mounting. It's never been bigger. And Chris Warner is really wanting this race win as well. Oh, a bit of a slide for Warner. And that might just open the door for Lovesey to gain that little bit of breathing space. And you can see the rear tires now beginning to overheat. Maybe for Chris Warner, how much is that going to cost him?
Oh, a lot. I'll tell you that. Maybe that actually help him if he can get that good gap and good slipstream coming into the turn 6 hairpin.
And all the while, Michael Pedersen slowly but surely is closing this gap right down up. It's now 6.5 seconds as we're into the final 5 minutes, of course, closing in on 4 minutes to go now, which is looking like Michael Pedersen that is not going to be able to make the gap, but that, of course, still depends on how these two decide to approach the final few laps of racing here. And what a race it's been. It's going to go all the way to the wire, Markus, and this is something we've seen on quite a few occasions this season. These types of finishes, and this is what we really love. And there it is. I think he's going to get it this time around here.
But he's still going to have the outside here for the next corner. I think this is still advantage Lovesey so far. Yep, looks like it. Small contact almost there between the two. Still in the control of Apex here, the 88. 75 still struggling, still hanging on the outside. We've got 2 cars now too wide for the lead. Giving up there a little bit, almost looked like with this camera shot, but it's still the 88 in the front here. The 75 charging as hard as he can, trying to get past here for the race win. And championship leader as well, getting ever closer now with a gap to the top 2 here with about 5 seconds. But surely...
Yeah, 5.4 seconds down to Michael Pedersen. So that gap is closing quickly. It's over a second on the last lap.
10 seconds before this fight started, and now 5 seconds since that. And it's been how many laps? Not that many. Can't get a good information on that right now through our timing software, but they've lost a lot of time now since the start of this race, or since the start of this fight, I mean. And I think Chris now is about to be ready to put an end to it and take the lead. Pretty close, 3/10 only. Difference between the two cars here in the front. Huge gap now for Andrew, but will this be the scent that Chris needs? Still pulling all the way down to the left side of the track here, not pinching him on the apex here, making life difficult, but it could be that he's just playing games with him right now.
Maybe it's the frustration building up for Chris Warner that he isn't really able to just finalize the move, and it's he invites to dance, and it becomes quite a dance indeed. And it's not just a quick round of you know, rock and roll, rock the boat. It's it's a bit more of a tango, you know, and it takes two to tango indeed. So it also takes two to tangle, which I hope we don't see from these two as we're coming in. There's a minute and a half.
I think we're looking at 2 laps here now.
We're not, because it's going to be a minute lap? 38, and we've got a minute and 20 seconds left. So this is going to be the last lap, 27th lap. It is the final lap, unless I'm very much wrong, which of course quite often I am, but we'll see just how it plays out this time around. 5 seconds still down to Michael Pedersen, and that means he's most probably not going to be able to gain any more places. I think with the race he's had here in the feature race, he will be happy with 3rd in the end. It's just going to be a question whether it's going to be Andrew Lufsey or Chris Warner taking the win here, Markus.
Biggest gap between these two now since the start of this fight. I don't think this is going to be it for Andrew, is it? Not trying to cut back here either, but it's really closing up in the braking zone. Something is going to give now. Something has to give. Coming into the old Grand Prix version of this track right now, after the new added Tilke section. Braking early there. 75, Chris Warner not trying to stress his tires too much here. Andrew doing good defense work here, trying to keep the 75 behind him still for the last lap, which we predict it's going to be the final lap for this race.
Yeah, 10 seconds left on the clock, Markus. I don't think they're going to get another lap. Oh, and he knows it now, Chris Warner. He's going to take every single shot he can.
Here comes Shirley. Oh, still blocking here perfectly the 88.
Beautiful driving from Lufsey, knowing just where to place the car in this situation, and he's done so brilliantly for quite some time now. He's held on beautifully. Let's see, will it be? Here's the final corners.
It is checkered.
It's checkered, and it's going to be a race win, I think, here. Let's see on the very line. Andrew Lufsey wins it just ahead of Chris Warner. That's a beautiful race win for the 88 silver driver. Picking it up ahead of Chris Warner. Michael Pedersen there, 4.5 seconds down, taking the final podium spot.
A 10th between Lufsey and Warner there over the line. Silver class driver. First silver driver to win a race in this series is Edward May.
Yeah, very much now so. And Edward May, who's now a gold driver indeed. And that says something. He tries to get the sprinter exit as well, but he just gets squeezed towards the grass. And
great job then from the Ignium driver there.
Very much so. You know what I'm really looking forward to here, Markus, is getting Andrew Lufsey in for an interview here and hearing just what he's going to have to say about things here, because I think he's going to be an overjoyed man indeed.
Oh, without a doubt. That's a huge win.
That's a big win indeed for Andrew Lufsey. Let's see if we can just have a look at the final cars, of course, still making their way around, not having seen the checkered flag as of just yet. Or is there any? So yeah, there actually is. Wasn't quite off there. Bradley Brock is coming around the final corner. What a race indeed. Andrew Lufsey, I have to say, for me. That defensive drive from around a third of this race, basically around 15 minutes, he defended, and he did so with heart and valor indeed. That was a knightlyhood. Never giving up indeed there, Andrew Lovesey, and that was a good win indeed.
Without a doubt.
So
keep that momentum going back into the next 2 rounds here. We're at the end of this season as well, as we get a race result here, Hasse.
very much so. Andrew Lovesey wins it for Ignium Motorsports ahead of Chris Warner for Fury Sim Sports and Michael Pedersen, the championship leader, taking good points with third. For SimRacingLove.com, Volante Racing, another Fury Sim Sports driver in fourth with Sam Baxter ahead of SimRacersworld Esports. And it's 2 of them in 5th and 6th. That's Seb Herber and Bud Boland. Oscar Wilkins gets 7th in the 2nd SimRacingLove.com Volante Racing machine. And James Hall, another class win for him in the E-Team Brit Bronze machine, the 68 car, ahead of Paul Gosling in 9th. Luke Schneider 10th. Nils Manchanten in 11th place for Ignium. And Mark Lewis for Holy Cow Racing in 12th. And Bradley Brockies for E-Team Brit in 13th place. Philip Hupley gets 14th for H Motorsport ahead of Nelson Inacio, who started on pole position for this feature race. A long 45 minutes it seemed, but that's only because we've had so much happen. A little bit difficult to keep track of everything indeed. Central Ballesteros, gets 16th in the end. And Hassan Arafak gets 17th for AR Racing. Jeremy de Boever 18th for Sim Racing Team Clodebara with Greg Franks. What an unlucky soul he's been these 2 races. Marcus 19th and last for him.
Yeah, one to forget for Greg. He has 2 new opportunities. In 2 weeks, we'll be at Long Beach. And in 4 weeks, we'll finish the season off back in Catalonia with the historic layout, which I think is without the stupid F1 chicane, but that whole 2 right-handers at the exit of the complex. I can't remember which turns it is at the moment on top of my head. I think it's the one the MotoGP guys are using, and also I think that's going to be a really cool race to watch.
Very much so. Here we've got our first interviewee for the feature race, and who else to bring in but race winner Andrew Lovesey. Andrew, congratulations on an absolutely brilliant defensive display there, and I'm thinking you must be quite happy yourself about it.
Yeah, I just had a sip of beer. That was very tense, that race. I knew I had okay pace. I obviously got caught with Seb in the first race, and I thought I've got a decent grid slot. And then obviously lots of stuff was going on around me at the start of the feature race. I just kept my head down. And obviously when Mike was behind me and Chris and stuff, I think I was lapping within a 10th, maybe 2 tenths lap after lap. So I thought, okay, if they catch me up, I think I can maybe hold it. And yeah, that defensive battle with Chris went on for for a few laps longer than I would have liked. But yeah, it was great.
And it looked like you had a little bit of a straight line advantage over Chris. Also something we saw when he was battling against Michael, and seemed to making that little bit harder for him to overtake. Was that how you saw things out there as well?
It didn't seem like he was catching me as much as he should on the back straight. I'll be honest, I didn't do any practice for tonight, so I actually put a VRS Watkins Glen tune on. So it was kind of like a see how I get on, but I think it helped on that long straight, definitely. But I was just saying to Michael in the waiting room, I was saying this track more than any that you race on. Firstly, it's great to be here in iRacing, but secondly, it's quite an easy track to defend on if you position the car right. So the inside on the back straight into the hairpin, and then I could just keep Chris behind me for the rest of the lap. But yeah, I think I had a little bit of a straight line advantage, but I don't think it was a massive amount.
Indeed, beautiful race, Andrew. Brilliant to watch, and it was for me very much a contender of both race and battle of the season. That was beautiful indeed. Congratulations, very much so. And before we let you go off and enjoy your win, is there anyone you'd like to give a thanks or a shout out to?
I'd like to give a shout out to my little boy Ashton, because he always asks me to, and I always forget. And obviously Ignim Sport Boys, all the Ignim sponsors, Paul, the team manager, for having me on board, and you guys and Simracersworld for such a great series. It really is a really enjoyable series.
Well, indeed, thanks, Andrew. Again, congratulations on a very strong win, and we do hope to see you again in the booth after one of these final rounds of racing.
Cheers, dude. Thanks a lot. Speak to you soon, guys.
Cheers, mate. So that was Andrew Lovesey. We're gonna continue on with our second interviewee for tonight. It is indeed his second visit here to the booth with us. It's also his second chat to my Norwegian friend Markus Gjesdal. Here is indeed Markus with Michael Pedersen.
God aften igjen, Michael, and not quite the race that you wanted in the feature here, was it, Michael?
No, this is really under frustrating conditions that I'm sitting here right now. Although thankful for a P3 based on what happened, but yeah, I was defending my heart out with a severely damaged car way down on top speed, and yeah. From what I see, Bud just missed his breaking point and absolutely ruined me.
We saw that on the live television here, looking at you getting absolutely annihilated. It wasn't a nice sight. It looked like an ambulance trip if this was real life. But there was also a lot of stuff happening in the first 2 laps. Can you take us through what that was like for you in the opening laps of this race?
Yeah, I was just taking it nice and easy because I knew since there unfortunately wasn't that many drivers present at this round, the inverted grid would mean there would be guys that were perhaps a bit more off the pace than usually in the top 10 starting on pole. So yeah, I just kept my cool, knowing that I had just gained 100 points on Chris, sitting behind patiently waiting for an opening, which I sadly didn't get, and then of course I saw my teammate having a bit of a spin, which caused a chain reaction in the corner after that. Of course, not really, maybe just like their reactions to what happened just before, then they weren't quite ready to keep racing or something like that, because my teammate really wasn't a part of what happened just after that. But yeah, it was just really hectic, and I tried to, as best as I could, stay out of trouble, but I guess trouble just found me in this one.
A messy opening round here at Hockenheim, and especially for the feature race as well. But there's 2 races remaining here, Long Beach and Catalonia, and it's looking good now. The margins are on your side, so what are your thoughts entering Long Beach now in 2 weeks?
Well, my thought entering Long Beach is the same as they always are. I gotta prepare as most as I possibly can and have a car that handles the bumps well. And then again, yeah, I know that I probably have a bit of an advantage in the points, so I'm just gonna sit back and be as cautious as possible, because if Hockenheim was bad, Long Beach is gonna be even worse for incidents, I bet.
Good talking to you again, Michael Pedersen, second time in a row here tonight, and congratulations on P3, even though it wasn't under the circumstances that you probably hoped it would come in. Anyways, good drive, and and we'll give you a little moment here now to give you a shout out to, or give you a shout out to the people around you.
Yes, and as always, I want to give a shout out to my team, Volante Racing, and our main sponsor for this championship, Simracing Loft. And I highly advise to go check out both Instagram tags and our websites, as well as checking out the collection from the P1 collection from Simracing Loft.
Thank you so much, Michael Pedersen, and congratulations on P3 and 2 podiums in a row.
Thank you for what I bet has been an awesome race stream.
So that was Michael Pedersen and Markus Gjesdal. Yet again, that's going to be the conclusion of this Wednesday night's worth of racing here on Simracersworld TV. Of course, rounds 11 and 12 here at the BMW Trophy, brought to you by Abruzzi Race, where of course there is a link to their webpage in the description. I advise you to check it out as well. It feels a bit weird having adverts for two competing sim racewear companies. They're so close to one another, and we'll apologize about that. But we'll just someday, Markus will make a test. We'll see what's the best. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure having you all along on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Facebook as well. If you feel like we deserve it, do leave us a like, and if you want to see more here on Simracersworld TV, well, there's the subscribe button as well. You know what to do with it. With that said, and as said before, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back at Long Beach in 2 weeks' time from now. Markus and I, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be same time, it's going to be same place, and it's going to be lovely indeed. So don't miss it. We're going to be looking forward to it. And I think all that remains to be said from here is until then, take care, have fun, and until next time, bye-bye.
It's only right for all I know. It's only matter. It's calico. It's black and white.